There's a question about whether Anthony Fauci will face any criminal prosecution for his role in the COVID origin cover-up. But we've got some new information that's come out over the past several weeks, which I think is worth hearing as it pertains to the COVID vaccine. The most notable information from December, in fact, from Stanford, that for people aged 30 and under, largely male, there was an incident rate for myocarditis of 1 in 16,000, which I guess you'd call that rare-ish, but not the 1 in 140,000 or 1 in 300,000 that many people had claimed once we got more information about the side effect from the COVID vaccine. Now, certainly there are many people who believe crazier things about the vaccine, believe whatever you want. I'm only going to talk to you about the information published by Stanford and by researchers through Nature magazine, official, peer-reviewed science as it exists today. And I'll give you the gist of it. The gist of it is this. Initially, we were told the COVID vaccine would stay in your arm. It would send lipid nanoparticles into your muscle cells, reprogram them to produce the harmless spike protein. Your immune system would then attack the cells producing that protein. It's an interesting strategy, rather clever. The only problem is perhaps it was not ready. What ended up happening for some people is that the lipid nanoparticles did not stay in the arm, and they moved around the body. So, as it was intended to infect muscle cells, some researchers are saying now, when that got into your heart, your immune system then attacked cells in your heart, causing inflammation, myocarditis, and pericarditis. We now know from a published study in Nature magazine, in fact, if the lipid nanoparticles did leave your arm and go into other cells, in fact, it may have compromised your immunity. This is not my opinion. Maybe they're wrong, and I'll just say this for the sake of YouTube and all of the other psychotic censors. Oh, yeah, they're all wrong, right? It's a crazy world that we live in. I can only tell you this. YouTube will probably censor this, probably because there's going to be some backing and advertiser dollars coming from these big companies and powerful interests. But the data and the science, it's clear now. Now, it's always, when I say clear, nothing's ever definitive. We don't know for sure. What we can say right now is that we have a published study saying, hey, if those lipid nanoparticles got in your liver because they were moving around, you became less defended, as it were. So I'm just going to go right off the bat and say this. My assumption then is there are many people. You know what? Let me phrase it like this. In the days of COVID, we heard many people say myocarditis and pericarditis. YouTube would delete you if you claimed this. You would be banned from social media if you claimed it. We now know it's a fact. A fact. Stanford Medicine study shows why mRNA COVID-19 vaccine can cause myocarditis. I personally know people who suffered serious myocarditis and pericarditis, and I wonder with the damage to the heart, how many years it took off their life. I wonder. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But when this was happening during COVID, we were told it's not true. It's fake. It's a lie. Despite the fact we were seeing it over and over again. We were seeing people playing soccer just drop dead on the field, young men. Now we're learning, with billions of vaccines administered, the incident rate for males 30 and under was 1 in 16,000. I've got the data from Stanford. We also heard that some people who got the vaccine kept getting sick. Strange, right? You've heard it. Maybe it was wrong. We heard that people got vaccinated and they're like, oh, I've got COVID again. And the people who didn't get vaccinated were like, I got it once or never got it at all. We're now learning from Nature magazine. Let me pull this one up. Nature Biotechnology, nature.com. This largely esoteric article, hard to read, but I'll give you a summary of it. If the lipid nanoparticles entered your liver, your immunity to the virus decreased. Could this be why there are some people suffering from long COVID? They keep getting sick. Now, some people have said they think that's not that one. They think that long COVID is vaccine injury. Well, I don't know, maybe not. What I can say is some people may be suffering long COVID because the vaccine caused them to have a weaker immune response to COVID. At least that's what this study is saying. So go ahead, YouTube, tell me I'm wrong. Geez, Stanford scientists are conspiracy theorists. Crazy, right? Let me show you this one from December 1st. First, I will show you this one from December 10th of 2025. That's a better way to phrase it. And let me just jump down to the hard numbers because, yikes. Here you go. Here you go. You ready for this one? Vaccine-associated myocarditis occurs in about 1 in every 140,000 vaccines after a first dose and rises to 1 in 32,000 after a second dose across all cohorts. For reasons that aren't clear, incidence peaks among male vaccinees, that's what they say, aged 30 or below at 1 in 16,750. 1 in 16,750. And what if you get a third dose? Is it 1 for 1? Fortunately, most of these cases end well, Wu said, with full heart function retained or restored. Recovery is typically swift. I'm just going to get a quick question here to my AI friend. Quick question. How many years of life are lost after suffering myocarditis? Maybe it's none. Maybe it's like, no, it's not going to affect it at all. I assume that all damage to vital organs reduces your lifespan. There is no single fixed number of years of life lost after myocarditis. It varies widely depending on age and diagnosis. They say most people recover fully. Mid-viral myocarditis is common. Many recover well. 5-year survival is 50 to 80% or higher, with many younger patients returning to normal life. Short-term mortality is typically around 1 to 5%. Hospitalized patients, a large Danish registry study, aged around 39, found over a mean 8.5-year follow-up, 16.9% mortality in myocarditis patients versus 9.6% in matched controls. Adjusted hazard ratio, 2.1. Even patients who appeared recovered after 1 year had elevated risk. Wow, of a 1.6 baseline. Other studies report 5-year mortality around 13 to 20% in biopsy-proven or hospitalized cohorts. Approximate year of life lost. For a young adult, it could translate to several years of reduced life expectancy on average. Let me just pull this in here. I'm just reading this. Severe fulminant cases of those progressing to dilated cardiomyopathy and heart failure much higher. Prognosis is often good, but there you go. Several years. That was the presumption that if you're a young man and you got myocarditis, maybe you would have lived to be 80. Now you're going to live to be 73. And, a lot of people say, twilight years, right? It's not going to affect for the most part. I remember when I was younger, I'd have a lot of friends my age smoking. And I'd say, people would be like, why do you still smoke? And they'd go, I don't want to be old anyway. And I'd always say to them, no, you misunderstand. Cigarettes don't make you die young. They make you old faster, right? So you don't want to you're going to be old faster from smoking those cigarettes. So I don't know what your argument is. You're just getting rid of your young years. Well, take a look at this. Take a look. I'm not opining. Okay. This is what Stanford has said. Insane. So for males 30 and under who got 2 vaccines, 16,750. That's a lot of young men who have their hearts damaged. Now, here we go. This is a study that was put out April 29th, 2026. mRNA vaccine immunity is enhanced by hepatocyte detargeting and not dependent on dendritic cell expression. I was sent this by Brett Weinstein, and I'm just like, I don't know. What is this? I'm trying to read through it. And he's like, we need this broken down. All right. ChatGPT, can you tell me what this means? The paper from Nature Biotechnology is basically about why some mRNA vaccines work better, depending on which cells in your body make the vaccine protein. It goes on to say that lipid nanoparticles, we understand this. What the researchers did, they engineered mRNA vaccines so that it would work only in certain cell types, immune cells, muscle cells, or liver cells. Then they tested how strong the immune response became. Immune cells were not as important as expected. Scientists originally thought vaccines worked mainly because immune cells directly read the mRNA. They say muscle cells worked really well. Liver cells actually weakened the immune response. That was the biggest discovery. When the vaccine protein was produced in the liver, the immune system responded less strongly, partly because the liver activates calm-down immune pathways, PD-1, PD-L1. In plain English, the liver tends to teach the immune system to tolerate things instead of attacking them. So if too much vaccine ends in the liver, the vaccine may become less effective. No, it tolerates them. That's really crazy. So is it possible that the vaccine was moving around your body and ended up in your liver? Well, I asked, could the vaccine target those 3 cell types on its own? Yes. The COVID mRNA vaccines can end up being taken by multiple cell types, including muscle, immune, and to some extent liver. It's actually normal for lipid nanoparticle delivery systems. They say the vaccines were primarily intended to work in muscle tissue and nearby immune cells after injection into the arm. The question is how much traveled. What happens after the shot? They're wrapped in fat bubbles, they travel, blah, blah, blah. Did scientists know this? They did. They knew. Animal studies showed high liver uptake because the liver is a major filtering organ, not unique to COVID vaccines. Liver expression may reduce the strength of the immune response more than expected. That's different from saying the liver is being destroyed. Well, look, I don't know. Far be it from me. I'm not a scientist. Don't talk to me. I'm not a doctor. All right, you get your advice from doctors. There was a funny post that I saw where on Threads, and actually, you know what? I think I posted it. Let me pull it up. Where a woman is told by her doctor that the COVID vaccine was bad, and she got do I have it right here? From her therapist. Sorry. Here you go. I saw this on Threads. I had to grab it. 200,000 views. My therapist asked me if a lot of health problems that started after COVID, did you get the vaccine? I said yes. So she said, did you research it first? Because I interrupted, yes, that's why I got it. She replied, it's so unfortunate you didn't know any better, all the adverse reactions. I changed the subject and got out of there. I fired and reported her. I really don't have respect for anti-vaxxers spewing nonsense to their vulnerable patients. They should know better. Come at me with credible facts and sources, and maybe I consider differently. Insults are only proving my point. I do not wish to follow uneducated fear-mongering. And you call me the sheep? Also, a handful of cases of a vaccine reaction versus how many people are injured or dead from COVID isn't making the point you think it is. I was obviously sick before the vaccine, but after COVID. Also, are you my doctor? No. Why should I follow your advice over hers? What makes you special? Okay. Well, here's Nature and Biotechnology saying that if it gets into your liver, it will weaken your immune response, telling your liver to tolerate these things. Could this be, again, why some people who got vaccinated kept getting sick? Perhaps that's what happened. I recommend you guys take a look at the Stanford study showing why the mRNA vaccine caused myocarditis. Indeed, it did. And 1 in 16,750 is insane. It's terrifying stuff. And the craziest thing about it, here you go.
To do better. When it comes to vaccines, vaccine hesitancy, videos that cause a public health risk, where do you want to see YouTube do better?
Well, first of all, we've taken responsibility very seriously. It's been one of my top priorities, and with regard to COVID and with regard to vaccines, that has been a top priority for us. And we have a number of different ways that we address that. So first of all, we want to make sure that if there's information that violates our policies, we came up with 10 different policies around COVID. Then if that's a violation of policies, then that's something that we'll remove. We removed over 1 million videos associated with COVID.
Have you talked to the Biden administration at all about vaccine hesitancy or vaccine misinformation?
Well, we did an event actually with the Biden administration, including President Biden himself, with a number of creators, Fauci as well.
I wonder if there's anything that you see in, the way that anti-vaxxers behave on the platform, if there are any data or insights there that could be helpful to people understanding where they're coming from.
I mean, we try to understand what are the different ways that we can break through. So we talked about in this campaign that we did about getting back to the things that you love. So what we really tried to do was get not just from the experts, but also people that were not experts, but who were explaining, like, why did they take the vaccine? Why was that relevant for them? And what was their thought process?
So let me just break that down. Why someone took the vaccine is not talking to your doctor. Putting out a series of videos and promoting them, saying people want to get back to what they love, is not talking to your doctor. Susan Wojcicki is dead. She died of cancer. And I hate to speak ill of the dead. I know there's many people who probably loved and who did love and care for her. I'm sorry. This is a deeply evil person. She was a sociopath, a narcissist, and she is responsible for a lot of injury and probably death. And I don't mean death in regards to just COVID. The idea that you would push people to not talk to their own... You know what really makes me mad about this? I have always maintained from the beginning, talk to your doctor, track your own health studies. Shout out to Casey Neistat, who tweeted, "Get vaccinated." My response, no, go talk to your doctor. Don't take advice from Casey Neistat. No, I'm not trying to be a dick to Casey. He's a nice guy. But he said, get vaccinated. And I said, talk to your doctor. And he said, that's strange. I didn't do that. I just pulled up into a parking lot and they gave me the vaccine. And I said, you let a random guy outside in a parking lot inject you with something. This is why I can't stand these people. I said every step of the way, you talk to your doctor. You know what? I talked to my doctor. My doctor said, don't get the vaccine. Yep. I called my doctor and I said, I was like 35 at the time. So I'm 35, I'm fairly athletic. He said, listen, the vaccine's for young people and old people. I don't think you should get it. The doctor was giving me general advice. This is what they normally say about many vaccines. If you're young, it's like the flu vaccine. If you're like an average age, healthy adult, you really don't need to do these things. That's what they said to me. I said, okay. I got really sick. I got monoclonal antibodies. Those helped. So I'm not here to give anybody advice on what you should or shouldn't do, other than talk to a doctor. And what did I say? If you don't like the answer your doctor gives you, seek a second opinion. That's normal medicine. Susan Wojcicki, however you pronounce her name, said, no, we're going to peer pressure. So having Casey Neistat say, get vaccinated, that's not advice from a doctor. Having YouTubers say, I just want to go back to playing sports and going outside is not medical advice. So they decided to take down people who are critical of the vaccines and promote people who weren't giving medical advice, but were pressuring on social conditions to get you to go get a medication. Hypocrisy and evil. So I say this, the math is actually really simple. The argument is the amount of people who were saved by getting the vaccine outweighs the amount of people who were injured. I have a problem with this. If you are adequately informed as to the risks, you decide which is right for you. That's why you talk to your doctor. But Susan Wojcicki and Wojcicki, people call her Wojcicki, but it doesn't seem like it's pronounced that way. Wojcicki. Yeah, that's what it says. It says Wojcicki. Pronunciation. She did exactly what they said not to do. Other people got banned for having an inverse opinion. None of them were doctors. She died of cancer, and some people are claiming that COVID vaccine caused it. Well, I don't know about anything like that. Although Grok does make that claim. Trust the AI, I guess. Actually, I'll just show you. Grok, what does this woman die of, and is it consistent with vaccine injury? Grok says there are case reports from a 2026 Oncotarget review noting temporal links between COVID vaccines and rapid progression or reactivation of pre-existing indolent tumors. Really? Jeez, Grok, don't say that. Wait, you mean there are links to it? A South Korean cohort of 8.4 million people, one-year lung cancer incidents. Review 333 patients on temporal associations with tumor progression and reactivation. The review also cites the Korean study in many case reports. These show signals, not proven causation. You see? That's it. There you go. I'm just mad that they lied about everything, didn't they? I stand by my position. Your medical history is unique. I do not believe there's a blanket end-all be-all. These utilitarians who would sacrifice you in your ignorance. So when people say, I've gotten off social media, my mental health is so much better. Mathematically, maybe it's better that the COVID vaccine injured 1 in 16,750 young men, potentially shaving off years of their lives because many more people were saved by it. What about the people who had the lipids go into their liver and now, according to Nature and Biotech, are more susceptible to the virus? I just think that these experts are retards and never knew what they were talking about or were intentionally lying about it. It's pretty wild to see. I'll wrap it up there, though. Maybe they'll ban this video. Share it. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you all in the next segment.